Remember when we all thought that 𝓽𝓱𝓲𝓷𝓴𝓼 would have some form of wither-based origin? Funny how things changed. Anyhow, in theming of that, in today's video I'm going to be going through a rabbit-based origin, also known as Lepus, created by the Discord user known as Dan's Other Clone. This origin is for Minecraft version 1.18 and up, so 1.18.1 and 0.2 because I know that came out very recently. So let's get started with the abilities of this origin. Moving into our first ability, we got an ability known as Leap. It's a hefty leap that launches you up and forward. Now this is your primary ability, of course. So this movement ability is very useful in multiple different situations, but the main core of it is it's more useful for propulsing yourself forward rather than up, as you're unable to use this ability when you jump. So let's say if you jump normally, you cannot use this ability whilst you're in the air. This ability will only activate when you're touching the ground, which I feel like is a good choice on the creator's behalf here, with the fact that that makes it so that you can't use it to get some extreme absurd heights with some of the bugginess that comes with these type of abilities, and it kind of like balances out a little bit so you can't just jump across and then try and finish off your distance with this jump. But this does allow you to go pretty far forward. On about a bit of testing, you can roughly jump around 4 to 5 blocks up into the air somewhat consistently. There is a very occasional chance that you can have a little bit of a glitch mode where you jump up like 10-ish blocks, but I only had that happen once out of a lot of testing. Then the secondary bit to it is that you can jump roughly about 8 to 15-ish blocks ahead of you. It's again a bit more dependent on how, like, where you are in the world and a lot of different things along those lines, but it's roughly how the ability works and it's pretty damn useful. Now if you just found this video, I'd like to ask you guys to hit the subscribe button down below, as I make Origins content every single week, as well as multiple videos about mods. Either way, let's continue on. Moving into our next ability, we've got the bunny hop ability. Your natural jump is 2 blocks high, but it's unaffected when sprinting or sneaking. Now I just want to say here that this origin thus far has got some pretty neat balancing little bits and pieces going into it. First off, being able to double jump whilst you're sprinting is extremely useful to have some absurdly high jumps and at good positions and go long distance with a jump. Ultimately, having it so that you can disable it when you're sprinting or it auto disables whenever you're sprinting, allows it so that you can sprint at the highest speeds like you would normally in Minecraft, but also makes it so you can't do absurdly far jumps at the same time either, because you no longer have the 2 block difference. And then again, the ability to just hold sneak so you can only jump 1 block is just a beautiful little addition to this. It's just another little way to deactivate the double jump if you don't want to be jumping 2 blocks high for that small period of time. Otherwise, it's a very cool ability and very useful with some pretty nice balancing touches. Moving into our next ability, you've got the ability known as Lucky Foot. Your odds of receiving better loot from chests and fishing are highly increased. Now this does make use of the luck effect that has been in Minecraft for quite a while now, but doesn't really have an active use in Minecraft at all. So you'll know that this isn't active when you see the luck ability effect next to your inventory, like you would see for a majority of other potion effects. What this normally does is it just increases the luck chance, basically. Best way to explain it is that when you're fishing, you get more better loot a little bit more often. It's kind of like 𝓵𝓲𝓷𝓴𝓼, just without the fishing rod being enchanted in the first place. You have better odds of getting better stuff, and this works in the same vein for getting better stuff from dungeon chests as well, because all those chests are kind of randomly generated the moment you go to open them. So ultimately it just gives you a little bit of better luck, so you might get some better loot throughout your playthrough, and it makes fishing a little bit more of a thing that you probably should think about, because I mean, I got an enchanted bow within my 3rd catch on fishing with a blank fishing rod, which is pretty good. Moving into our next ability, you've got But At What Cost? You have 7 hearts of health, which just happens to be your lucky number. How fortunate. Yeah, it's as simple as that. You have 7 hearts of health. I mean, do I need to say more? Moving into our next ability, we have Lucky Strike. Melee hits have a 1 out of 7 chance to deal 2 times damage. Now this is a very useful ability overall, as again, as it says, you have a 1 in 7 chance to actually do double damage to whatever you're hitting with a melee hit. It might be useful to get you out of a sticky situation where you've got, let's say, an iron golem really going in on you, or a Ravager, or one of the many other very high health mobs where the double damage will be absolutely useful and superly valuable when it happens. But it also might prove a bit more of a thing that you might not like as much, depending if you get yourself into some obscure situations where you want to damage something but not quite kill it, which, now I'm thinking about it, there really isn't many times you'll do that, but it's kind of like one of those things where the 1 in 7 chance of dealing double damage damage, it might become a bit more of a pain in your backside, as you may never actually deal the double damage that you want to deal when you need it, and it might come up when you're just like, oh, okay, that was great, I didn't need this double damage now, but thank you anyway, game. But overall, cool ability nevertheless. Moving into the next ability, you've got acrobatics. You'll never take fall damage no matter what height you fall from. This is pretty self-explanatory, you don't take fall damage. I mean, it's very useful at the end of the day, especially considering the fact that you can do absurdly high jumps with not only your leap ability, but with the fact that you have a double jump ability as well, so useful nevertheless with your 7 hearts. Moving into our next ability, you've got energetic. You're considerably faster when you're above 7 full hunger bars. This is just kind of like a nice little speed effect, as you would have noticed by how fast I'm running around when doing any other form of movement. Think from a gathered guess, from like the speed increase, it's roughly a speed of 2 or 3 added on top of your normal Minecraft speed. But again, this is only going to be there when you have 7 full hunger bars. So not only do you have, once you go underneath 3 hunger bars, you're no longer able to sprint. If you're over 7 hunger bars, you also have an extra speed boost bonus on top of your typical sprinting speed, which overall is very useful. Continuing on, you also have Vegetarian Plus. You cannot eat meat, but all other foods have actually got increased saturation, making it so that once you can't eat meat, it's not really too much of a loss. Like, you still got the really high saturation foods such as your golden carrots and stuff along those lines, and not only do you still have them, they're also boosted a little bit as well. I don't quite tell exactly how much it's been increased by, but they have been increased by a little bit, something that's just notable enough that it doesn't ruin food overall for you in the game. A side note about an earlier ability, the leaping ability, I found a little bit of an exploit that allows you to do a mega jump. Whenever you jump up, the moment you hit the ground is when you want to use your leap ability, as this will allow you to have a far higher long jump in comparison to before. Think of it, you jump once normally, and as you hit the ground, you press the leap ability. It takes a little bit of practice, but once you get to it, you can pretty much do some really big jumps pretty easily. Moving into our next ability, you've got the Forager ability. Breaking grass with hoes has a small chance to give carrots or potatoes. And overall, you can see the use of this ability, considering that food is your good way to get saturation, and vegetarian food like carrots and potatoes are super useful to this origin. This ultimately is just an easy way of getting some pretty competent amount of foods. All you need to get to is like a handful of each type, and then you can easily farm it up yourself. So if you, let's say, got a shortage of carrots or shortage of potatoes, you can quickly just go break some grass and get a few handfuls overall. And just so you roughly understand the ratio of how often you get the potato/carrots, so roughly around enough foraging to get around 35 seeds, I got 15 carrots and 9 potatoes. Now, that's not going to be 100% accurate to what you might get, but that's roughly a decent ratio. You get way more higher volume of seeds than you do potatoes and carrots, but you do get a competent amount on alongside with it. Next ability we have here, you have Golden Vision. Eating golden carrots lets you see in the dark for a little while. Very self-explanatory. Whenever you eat a golden carrot, you get around 44 seconds of night vision on you, which is ultimately might be useful, might not be useful, considering that you have to be able to eat you need hunger to eat the golden carrot in the first place. You might not find too many uses for it, but it's there. Moving on to your next abilities, these are both abilities that require crafting. That gives you the ability to do some cool crafting little things. First off, you can make rabbit hide out of leather. You just put in 1 leather into the actual crafting bench and you will gain 2 rabbit hide out of it, so you can actually naturally craft some for yourself. But the second thing, and the much more cooler thing, is that this actually you can use the rabbit hide to create yourself some bundles. With using 6 rabbit hide and 2 strings, you can create yourself a bundle, which, I don't know, might be useful, might not be useful, I guess it's up to you. If you did enjoy this video about this rabbit origin, I highly suggest you click this video on screen now about another different origin. Until next time, guys, bye bye.